RW down here in the Mountain Storm Workshop, and as you know, I make target grips, and I have a client that just commissioned a pair out of flame maple, tiger maple, whatever you want to call it. This is a piece of luthier grade maple, very, very expensive, and as you can see, I've got plenty of width to find the exact right area for my grips, and I've got plenty of thickness, no problem here. So this is more wood than I really need. But even though you can see what's going on here and how amazing that is, I'm just going to go ahead and wet it down with denatured, which won't hurt anything. So you can really see it. It's crazy. Yeah, that is some really strong figuring. That's why this wood was very expensive. Just put it on edge, wet the edge. And there's a little burn from the saw on the edge, but maybe we could see some of that flame wrapping around the edge usually. And here's the inside, okay, because the wood's cupped this way. I like to put this to the inside, but even the inside's pretty. As you can see, the flames go all the way through the material from one side to the other. As they should for luthier grade material like this. Alright, so the deal is I'm going to be cutting off a couple sections. And the way I do this is I like to have the butts so that the grain flares off them, kind of like the way I make my shell preppers. I like to make that little pattern with matching grain. And the only way you're going to get matching end grain is right at the cut. So they kind of like fold the grips together, so to speak, to get that nice mirrored pattern on the butts. And that's about it. That's all I really wanted to show you guys. I'm going to be working on these over the next week or so. I've got a lot more obligations these days, so I can't work quite as fast, but it's going to be a real pleasure working with this material. I've been waiting for somebody to want something out of this wonderful piece of tiger maple here. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for supporting Mountain Storm with your likes, your comments, your subscriptions, and of course your custom commissioned work. Keeps me in cat food and cat litter. Hey, have a look at a nice squared up piece of wood. So I'm not going to show every step of this process because I've made videos that show every step of making these grips, but what I wanted to point out was that what I have to start out with was something that's absolutely as close to perfectly flat and square and true as I can, because I run it through the saw to remove material and leave a little piece like this. So I'm running it through the saw in block form first. And so all the dimensions have to be just right. So I'm going to be doing a little tiny bit of hand sanding on this, and I'll check it out with the calipers and make sure. But in the process of running it through the planer and getting all four sides perfectly square and all that good stuff, I get a good look at the material. And you can see that there's a lot of flaming on this side. So that's the side I want to choose for the big fat part. So that's the back of the grip, right? And then, if you look at the end of it, you can see it's smiling, so to speak, right? So this is the inside, because I want to put the two smiles together. That's the most stable way to attach the grips, because all wood moves and shifts, and even when it's finished it can warp just a little bit. So to minimize all those impacts on how the grip fits the frame, I try to select a really good kiln dried piece of lumber, then I surface it all four sides. Now I'm going to come over to the chop saw. I'm going to chop it up into 4.5 inch long blocks, at which point I can then mark them and run them through the saw and make my relief cuts. And then I do the marking, I get the holes, and I've got basically big blocks that I can screw to this and really have a good look at and get a wood to metal fit all around. And then once that's all in there and I'm good with that, okay, that's when I can mark them and start removing material from them. And I start with the bandsaw, and then I go to coarse paper on various sized spindle sanders. Alright guys, just a quick overview of the whole thing here. These be some beautiful grips once they're done. As you saw in the first clip, it has a lot of flame in it, and that flame is just going to be jumping out. This is the side that's going to be out. You can see all those flames in there. It's going to be something else. Alright guys, I will show you some more later on in the week. That's it for these little clips. Thanks for supporting Mountain. I'm worried about starting a fire with my welding equipment, and now I've got a fire inside my table saw. Before I hose it down with the frickin'... I'd like to try and just get it to go out. I don't want to use my fire extinguisher on it yet. But as you can see, it's in the exact right zone to really get going. Alright, that's hysterical. So, I did get the fire out, and then I cleaned out the saw, I blew it out, vacuumed it out. But every single one of these I cut is basically starting a little fire in the saw. Very, very nice. Kind of made it a little smoky in here. Alright, just a quick teaser, guys. Got the holes drilled, got the reliefs made. They fit to the grip pretty much there, you know, as much as I can get it to fit at this point. So, much carving to come.